Morning, everyone. It's about maybe 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning. I have an extremely long day today, a lot of heavy stuff that I'm gonna have to do for work. So I couldn't sleep. I tried to sleep in. I was gonna come out this early in the morning. Um, so what I want to do is I want to check on my plants. I haven't been home to check on my plants in a couple days. So today I'm just going to go through, take inventory of what I have going on, what I need to do, and then somehow figure out where I'm going to plant a couple okra plants. I have a few that I put in a pot to put in, and I think I'm gonna stick them here and here just to see how they do. My tomato bush is still growing out of control with plenty of tomatoes on it, and my green beans are finally just up now. So today we're gonna take inventory, see what's in the garden, and give you a little garden preview, so that we can measure what it looked like then versus what it looks like now. Um, so yeah, here we go. Here are the okra plants that I planted from seed. I just threw them in the pot. I wanted to see how they would grow. And I have this thing where once they get their fourth leaf, and you'll see that these do have a fourth leaf, they're pretty much ready to be planted in the garden. So I'll show you how I got the seeds in a few minutes. My grandmother plucked some old okra pods off of a plant that I had during the wintertime when she was here, and she saved the seeds and then she left me a pod so that I could see where she got them from. So they look pretty healthy. They've been outside the whole time, so I don't have to harden them off. And all hardening off is if you plant seeds indoors, you have to get them acclimated to outside. So these are used to being outside. They sprouted outside. They've been outside. They've been in the rain. They've been in the cooler weather when we got it and the wind too. So they're pretty sturdy, pretty strong. And I'm gonna only be able to plant a few in my garden, and then of course I'm gonna give a few away.
Here are the seeds that I tossed into the pot. They came out of an okra pot like this, so you pretty much just smash it open and clear the seeds on the inside of it. I tossed them in a pot and then they grew. So we're gonna plant these today. So here I am taking the plants out of the pot that I tossed them in to grow, planting them into the garden. But before I did that, I looked to see where there was space, looking out over the garden, and I'm looking at the open spaces to see where I can possibly put the okra plants. Before I put them, I definitely need to go back in there and grab some of the weeds out that is against the fence. And then I'm also checking out the tomato plant to see if I can plant it closer, but probably not because it'll shade it. Green beans that were planted and sprouting, doing good. But if you can see, there are open spaces, and that's where the okra will go.
Sometimes you have to evaluate your plants to see if you have infected leaves. They don't really help the plant, and for tomatoes plants in particular, you don't really need the extra leaves. You want the energy to go into the fruit. So I'm okay with cutting a few of them off, especially I'm starting to see little white bugs on the back of the leaves. I'm gonna have to Google it to see what that is, but I don't want that all over my plant. And it's actually starting to turn the leaves kind of brown. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of cleanup, and I'm gonna improve airflow for this plant by cutting away some of the leaves and making sure um, the wind has some space to go through. I don't want to cut it completely naked, but I also want to inspect the plant to see what's going on, how I can get the most out of it. I have a bunch of tomatoes here, so I'm not gonna go completely naked with this plant. I call it completely naked because that's what it'll look like at the end as compared to what it was. Um, just gonna get in here, see a marigold flower that has died. I'm gonna get rid of that so that the um, rest of the buds can come back in. So yeah, Just some morning work, trying to make sure my plants stay healthy, make sure I don't have anything that's gonna spread throughout the plant when it comes down to these leaves that have the little, I'm gonna have to Google it. I don't know what the white bugs are. They're not aphids. Aphids are like yellowish looking bugs, but once I Google it, maybe by the time I post this video in the voiceover, I can tell. And it looks like it's a little caterpillar trying to lay some eggs in there. So I'm gonna get rid of most of those leaves, pull the string back where I tied it before, make it a little bit tighter because the plant grew, so of course the string got a little lax. I may even come back out here with some neem oil a little later just to spray it as a precaution. The tomatoes look really good though. Let me cut these leaves down at the bottom so that it has space to grow. A lot of people don't like it when they cut their plants. They want things to grow and just see what happens, but I like to err on the caution of I want my things to grow and grow healthy. Not saying that if you don't cut it, it won't be healthy, but this is just my method of gardening. Make a little pile over there of leaves to throw away. And then on the ground, you don't want your leaves dragging on the ground because the insects that are on the ground starts to eat the leaves anyway. So you might as well just get rid of them to improve airflow. There's so many cluster of tomatoes on this one branch. I'm actually going to take some Velcro string and tie it up because it's stronger than the regular string. Um, you can get this from Amazon, Home Depot, any place that sells gardening supplies. I'm gonna loop it in because the Velcro is not so tight that it's gonna cut into the plant, but it's strong enough to, even when the wind blows, the Velcro is strong enough to be pretty sturdy. So I'm gonna Velcro this one up a bit. The stem is a good ways away from the stake that I have in the middle, but I cut enough of the Velcro to where I can get it to lean in. You can hear the little snap. The birds are out this morning. Whoa. All right. Now I'm gonna take this leaf off. And it's gonna smell like tomato pies, but it's okay. Brown leaves, cut those back. Get another piece of Velcro. I'm gonna have to buy some more of this. And then let's see, up here. Hopefully I can get it to. I'm also trying to just guide it to grow where I want it to grow. Not very conventional, but it has worked in the past. Gonna come and spray this one though, because under the leaves I am seeing some little white bugs. If you know what they are, let me know. I think I cut enough of this one, cut enough of that one. This one is just a little wild. I'm gonna cut back a lot of these branches. I don't know how I'm gonna get to tie it. Um, Maybe I'll take a loose what I tied and just move it up some. Yeah, that might be the move. Um, and I'm also gonna trim down below for airflow. I noticed that some tomatoes are ripe in there, but we've gotten a bit of rain lately, so they got ripe. No one picked them, and now we have some busted up tomatoes in here. I do see one where I want to Velcro it. The other good thing about the Velcro, as opposed to the string, is you could just move the Velcro as you go along with the string. You're pretty much stuck, especially if you tied a knot in it. And I tied a knot in mine. Probably shouldn't have did that. This tomato plant is, yeah, it has a lot of ripe tomatoes down at the bottom. But for now, what I'm really worried about is not so much the harvesting right now. Really worried about having it grow straight up instead of just going all wild. So like this one should be gonna pick off some of the suckers too. A sucker is when the plant tries to produce like clusters of tomatoes in the middle. Just get rid of this because it had broke when I was touching the plant. It may look like I'm chopping up on these tomato bushes too, but tomato bushes are very resilient. They could take a lot. I noticed that over the years. Just throwing some suckers out. See a leaf that's growing, have some brown spots on it, and to keep it from spreading throughout the plant, I'm just gonna trim it out. So I'm gonna do a bit of this, try to get it cleaned up as much as I can, and then move to a different section of the garden.
So, although I've been talking a lot about cleaning out the garden, here's just me with my morning routine going in, pruning, weeding, tying, and observing. And voila, look at the tomatoes that are coming in to be full and beautiful. And these should be turning red pretty soon. Then we start to look on the other side, taking a deep look at the tomato plant to see what we have to do. And then the squash and zucchini plant. The plant has a lot of leaves that are damaged. The tomato plant on the side gets less sun. It's not as bad. A lot of weeds in the back. A lot of damaged leaves that we're going to trim out. And just staring at the plant in an open area to try to figure out whether I can put something in that open space. And a lot of bird poo, as you can see.
So my squash plant looks really good. It's grown a lot over the past couple weeks from when I first showed you. I'm taking a break from tiny tomatoes, if you were wondering. But the squash plant and the zucchini plant, so this big one that spread out is zucchini. Disgusting, a lot of bird poo in here. But if I look down in here, I see zucchinis growing. What I'm gonna do is, I saw this online, and so I'm hoping that it works. I'm gonna trim out any of um the leaves that look damaged. It's not gonna hurt the plant, as I said earlier about the tomato plants. Bird poo. It's not gonna hurt the plant. Just to promote energy and growth to the different fruit in the plant. So if this works, I'll definitely come back and let you know. I'm gonna try to cut it as close to the main branch as possible. And it also is gonna give me some space and room to make sure my other plants grow, because where I think I might have made a mistake was this might be in the way of my cucumbers. And I really want my cucumbers to grow really well. So what I'm gonna do is maybe move, or at this point, I might just cut the leaves. I think it'll be fine regardless. But on the backside, I have cucumbers that need to grow up on these strings, and it's covering the cucumbers. So what I think I'm gonna do is just trim in the back. I guess you could do that when you have a home garden. It's not gonna matter one way or the other. Just gonna cut these back and hope that it doesn't damage the plant too much. But let's see. I got one leaf over here that's really old and damaged. We had a rodent. I don't know if it's a groundhog, mole, whatever it is. It was coming and it was eating up the leaves. I don't know why they like zucchini leaves. They're very big. I guess a good meal for them, but we caught it when we hired someone to catch it. And now I don't have to worry about anything coming in and eating my garden before I can eat my garden. And I see a lot of little squash on the squash plant over here. This leaf right here is getting on my nerves. It's not damaged, but I'm cutting it. All right. So now all I have to do is go on the back there and weed around the cucumbers. Hopefully they grow up really big. I'm gonna cut one of the squash leaves back. Two of them actually. One below On below to give my cucumbers some space to grow up back there. I tried to put these stakes here to keep it from spreading and overlapping over. May or may not have worked. We'll see. Look. All right. And then over here, I have a tomato plant that doesn't get as much sun, but it looks like it's growing pretty good. I'm gonna spray it with some neem oil. Those white bugs are over here too. I don't know why they're messing with me this year, but whatever. It happens. It's outdoors. We're in the bugs' habitat. Get rid of some of these infected leaves. So what happens is I took so long to check on this plant that the infected leaves spread. I don't know what it's called. Google is my friend, so I'm gonna go in and do a bit research to see what all I could do for it. I have to cut. It's spreading throughout the plant, these black leaves. So I'll show you what I mean by infected. You look, see, I'm not really sure the backside of the plants. And I also know bugs like to perch up here on this cage. There's a dead marigold here. I'll take that off. And this one on the back. Gosh. All right. I'm gonna Velcro this one up. This plant is a little bit easier to Velcro, a bit easier to maintain. Believe it or not, this should also be, unless it was mislabeled in the store, aroma plant, but it's not growing as big as the other one on the other side. I actually don't need this much Velcro for this one, but I already cut it, so give it some space to grow. Make sure everything is on the inside of the cage. I'll guide it as it grows up. And while I'm here, I'm gonna go on the back side, get my shears or some scissors. Gonna go on the back side. I have we have a big tree and the roots grow. Branches growing, weeds growing. So down here, I have cucumbers. There are weeds here. I have this big thing of tarp I'm gonna put on the backside. So I'm gonna get the tarp along with some rocks and put them on the back to try to cut down on the amount of weeds that grow. So compared to other people's gardens, my garden is very good with weeds. I come out here fairly often, pick as many as I can out the garden because with weeds come other non-beneficial insects as well as the beneficial, and I'm okay with getting rid of the non-beneficial insects. So on the backside, get the weeds out, and I'm gonna it's supposed to be a hot one today. So what I'm gonna do is also before I go inside, because it is almost time for me to go in and get ready for my day. Um, I'm gonna try to water in, but not with the water hose. I'm gonna try to water in with water from the rain barrel so that when it does rain in the coming days, I could just refill the water barrel and cut down on the amount of water that we're paying for. So I don't know if you can see me back here, but I'm on the back side of the garden. And there's a big weed and stuff on the back side of these tomatoes as well. I'm back here and pull them up, toss them over. I like that I could walk on the back of this one because when the tomatoes and everything goes absolutely crazy and I can no longer contain it, ugh, then I can just walk on the backside, not only and pick the tomatoes from that big plant because it's going to spread throughout the gate there. I can also pick tomatoes on both sides, this side and that side. That's neat. As you can hear, we have a lot of birds out here, and they just come out here and poo all over my plants, and it is disgusting. But I'll show you what I mean by bottom. We have ripe tomatoes, if I could get it, but they're so close to the ground and the water that they just pretty much rot. Can you see that? So that's no good. No one can eat that. I'm gonna do a bit more garden cleanup on this side of the garden. I didn't do anything in the enclosure. I'll tell you a little bit about the enclosure and how it came about on another episode. But here's what I do when I come out in the morning. I can't sleep, and I come out, I play, I observe, I weed, I water, and I call it a morning until it's time for me to come in. Sometimes I'll come out in the evenings and check check out my plants. I'm going to pay very close attention to the transplanted okra. The the roots were established, but I want to make sure that they survive this transplanting before I give away the other ones, just in case I need to replant a few extras.
And before I go inside for the day or for the morning, I just want to take a look on the other side to see what I may have to do later. Looks like I have to deadhead some of the marigolds. Looking at the strawberries, of course, I'm going to try to water these before I go in for the morning. A lot of strawberries coming in. Not really sure when I'm going to trim the cilantro, but pretty soon I'll have to think of a tasty dish. If you have a tasty dish, drop it in the comment and I'll be sure to check it out. And I'm trying to peek in to see if there's any more strawberries that's going to need picking soon. Maybe here.
This is a mess. I'm gonna have to come in, try not to get stuck, and come back here and pull up some of these weeds that are growing up against the fence and in the garden. Um, because I want to make sure that this rose bush has ample roses. You'll see I have it tied to the gate. If you're watching and you see that they have buds on them and you see that there's one long branch coming out and you know how to cut and propagate it for a new rose bush, please drop a comment in the comment section. And then you'll see, I'm going to zoom in really close over here. This is what I meant by, I don't know if you can see it, zoom in, the little black bugs that are lantern bugs. They come in and pretty much suck the life out of these plants. They're like everywhere you see them. We've been spraying for it. Zoom in a bit more. So you can tell the parts of the bushes that we've been spraying. You could go in there and see the grapes. So we've been spraying this part. You barely see any lantern bugs over here. But for safety precautions, I'm gonna come in and spray it again. And I am gonna do a little something with tying hers back. Not that they're reaching toward the strawberries. Where I zoom out, you'll see that this grapevine is pretty much spreading everywhere. As noted in an earlier video, they don't really take care of it, and they actually made a gardening mistake on their side. They planted a tomato bush, and guess what it's going to do? It's going to shade and grab their tomato bush.